Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hi. So everyone can hear me? Okay, that's good. Okay, so last time we discussed about non-self from the early Buddhist aspect. So today we are moving to one interesting topic, papancha and nippapancha. So maybe some of you maybe heard this term in the before, but how the early Buddhist text describe about these two terms about papancha and nippapancha. Actually, papancha is Pali word. In Sanskrit, it said prapancha. So Pali doesn't have a R to pronounce. Papancha. Sanskrit say prapancha, but it means I'm back return to the English. So it have a many different meaning. It is sometimes very hard to explain exactly what is but in English generally we can translate as conceptual proliferation, and we also can translate as mental proliferation or mental fabrication, or sometimes we can say discriminating mind. So what is conceptual proliferation, or what is mental fabrication? It's quite interesting. Like how can we understand it is the proliferation, or it is cognized and it is fabricates. So another term, uh, we can say that mental proliferation as entangled in thought or chaotic thoughts. So we have, sometimes we say that, oh, this guy, he has an unorganized thought. Maybe he is not mindful, or he is not aware of his saying, or of his doing, or of his action. So we can also can translate as tangled or entangled in thoughts. It's a so many ideas, but he doesn't know what he needs to exactly need to do. So that is another definition or another meaning of papancha. So now the next, we can also can say that prapancha as unskillful habits of mind. So you see that like entangled in thought. So this thought process is not come in systematic order. Actually, this is also that you can ask what should be the systematic order. I mean, what kind of thought should become, or into the systematic format, but that is skill, that is people's awareness, and that is, we can say that awareness of awareness, but this topic coming later. But now we are talking about the entangle in thoughts, what is the chaotic thoughts and how it arises. So we say, again, we can say that there is unskillful habit in mind. So prapancha is it doesn't mean to be like a like a positive way. Somehow it's more often we can bring this term, the word papancha, or the mental state of papancha, as unskillful. That sometimes it became habit for someone. When somebody stay with this kind of habit like sankhara for longer period, so papancha represents as a unskillful habits of mind. And another way we can say, like papancha, another meaning we can say overthinking. Maybe then, as we all know, the overthinking, maybe sometimes people are have a many thoughts at the same time. Maybe we say overwhelmed or overthinking. Sometimes in this picture you can say like maybe lost, Yes, no, I'm stuck, never. Some our feeling. This we have not sure. That is not sure. I mean, we don't have enough. I mean, that time people lost its right perception. I was using the term perception. Papancha and perception is closed. So our overthinking, it is itself papancha. In generally, actually, in the East, people say, "Don't think so much." It's very common term in Asia. They say, "Don't think so much." So it's people sometimes in Buddhist teachers, they always say that his mind is proliferates. Is he is in the chaotic moods, or it is the mental state of papancha. Then we also can say that another way, another definition of papancha, like limitless thought spread out. That's interesting actually. Our thought is, there's no boundary. We can do, we can go with our thought process beyond. I mean, we can travel uh, anywhere in the world by our thought. We can do whatever. I mean, so many things at the same time. There is no limit of our thought, but we should know how to bring it into the systematic order. Like that is the awareness. But most of the time, our mind is proliferates and fabricates with thought. So it's like I give another example, like tissue paper. So we have on the tissue paper, it's a very thick, and if you pour a drop of water, rapidly spread around this tissue paper. Our thought is like a drop of water. Like we are adding. Maybe I just start to thought like, oh, I have my this pen is not working. Now maybe I start to think that, oh, probably the whole maybe I lost maybe my ink is end. Maybe it's not a good quality. Maybe what is the company name? Maybe what I mean what's wrong with this company? Maybe we go through the thought, just one thought, like this pen I can't write with this pen. Then start the thought process. So there's no limit. There's no limit of our thought process. So this term, uh, even also in the Buddhist scriptures, early Buddhist scriptures, we can find as the papancha. So now, how the uh, like a papancha, it's initiated or how it's manifested. So in our early class, we learned 12-fold links of dependent origination. So this is the theory. So if we are look back how the prapancha is manifesting from the perspective of dependent origination, we can see when thought and concept are thus conjoined with ignorance, it leads to grasping. So again I'm repeating. When thought and concept are thus conjoined with ignorance. So ignorance is the one of the key fact. Ignorance, we can in English we say not knowing. Not knowing of what? That's maybe the that can be the word inquiry. Not knowing of what? It is a ignorance, not knowing of according to the Buddhist aspect or ultimate perspective. It says not knowing of Four Noble Truths. We can say that clearly following the Eightfold Noble Path, not knowing of enough, how to be enough awareness, how to cultivate, how to stop prapancha, which is we say nippapanca. So not knowing, not recognizing, these are ignorance. What is Pali we say abhijja, in Sanskrit avidya. Vidya means education, mean knowing, so avidya, not knowing, that is ignorance. In English we often translate. So ignorance, through ignorance, it leads to grasping. As is Pali, we say upadhana, or Sanskrit same, upadhana as well. Grasping, or sometimes we can say, translate as clinging or attachment. So again, I repeat, with thought and concept are thus conjoined. With ignorance, it leads to grasping. Then it leads to proliferation, our mental proliferation, and its increasing complexity. And that, and the suffering of endless birth and death. So, when you have a grasping, we are becoming. So we are, I think all of you are, remember the 12-fold sequence of dependent origination. One, we say that with the origination of the craving, clinging arises. With the origination, or with the rising of clinging, becoming rises. So when you have a becoming, you are into the samsara. You are still have attachment. So you're becoming again and again. You have you return to the samsaric thought, samsaric level as well. So I again I repeating this term. Let me read. When thought and concept are thus conjoined with ignorance, it leads to grasping, proliferation, and increasing complexity. And that leads to the suffering of endless birth and death. That is the samsara. So we return to the samsara again and again because of papañca. Of course, papañca is the it's the leads it's project ignorance. So our maybe you can maybe we also can say that according to the formula of dependent origination, we all know that the first one is ignorance. Maybe we also can say that before the ignorance, maybe it is papañca. So now we back to the about early Buddhist discourse, how papañca is also more way it analyzed. So early Buddhist discourse is repeatedly mentioned mostly about the Sutta Nipata and Majjhima Nikaya as well, a few sutra. It says papañca. It is the it leads to our perception. So our perception is the categorization of papañca. And how our perception become mature. We can find this sutra from Kalaha Vivada Sutra. So it is a sutra named like the discourse of quarrels and disputes. It's from Sutta Nipata. S and actually S capital S we represent to according to in the Sutta as lower cap N is Nipata. But if the upper cap N, you see that is Sanyutta Nikaya. So Sutta Nipata is a one text of Kuddaka Nikaya. It's a number the fifth Yeah. So anyway, in the Sutta Nipata, it says our perception leads to form and name, nama rupa, mentality and materiality. And then with the origination of mentality and materiality, it leads to our contact. And from contact, it happens some judgment, like appealing and unappealing. And it leads to our desire. And with desire, we start to say, we like or not. We like this thing or not. Then from like and dislike, we see stinginess or divisiveness, quarrels. And then, slowly it matured to conflict and hate, disputes, and of course the war and a lot of problem in the society. So we can see that we can psychologically, from the early Buddhist text, it provides some insight how the dispute, conflict arise through our start originated by perception, and also our, it started from our misconception of prapancha. Of course, it is the negative essence. Papañca, it's always, it is according to the linguistic order, it used as negative. So you also, maybe some of you who has some Buddhist background, maybe they also heard very often the term papa. Papa means sins. So you say papa, papancha. It's all a negative. This according to the linguistic according to the grammatical and linguistic structure of South Asian language. So again, we say with the origination of perception, our name and form, mentality and materiality is manifesting. Then we see our contact. So we can talk. We can see our how the contact is, you know, um, how the contact. We already discussed in our last few prepared class. The contact arises through when the three things come together. For instance, I and seeing and eye consciousness. So these three things, I, seeing, and eye consciousness, these three things come together, it creates contact. Then it's from the contact appealing and unappealing. Then it leads to desire, our craving. And because of our desire, we started to judgment. We say that, of course, it is the very nice pen, or maybe this pen is this color. Is maybe I don't like it's pink color, or I like black color. Something, we start to do judgment and divisiveness, stinginess, and start to conflict, quarrel, dispute. in- You know, and it is when you go back this dispute into the wider level of the society, we can see how the conflict initiated. Now, according to I would like to give another theme from perception, like how the perception ascribed in the mainstream text of early Buddhist mainstream early Buddhist text. So perception is most immediate derived sense of an object. So it is the, as we mentioned, that we have a perception first. Like my eyes is closed, but when I waving my hand, something is stuck to my eyes, to my hand. I mean, I found that, oh, this is a pen. So my eyes is closed, my eye can't see this pen, but I noticed, I recognized this is the pen. So perception, my inner perception is provide the sense that you know this I noticed this object. Yeah, this is the pen, and it is a book. It is a person. I can recognize. So perception is more immediate derived sense of an object. There is a mild impact, contact, a sense of something strikes the eye. There is an immediate fluttering or movement around what that is. So all our perception recognized what that is or what this is. So perception plays a key role for before justification and recognizing the object. So as therefore we can easily say it, the perception is most immediate derived sense of an object. So so now it is the very interesting, like our perception. It is also can it is the so we can say that our perception is the sense of recognition. It's quite interesting. How do you perceive the things? How do you can categorize? How do you can notice the thing as it is, or as this is the thing? Sometime, so like it is a very famous story. Maybe all of you are know this story. Like when you're kids, we learn from the text. There are four blind uh, people. So they went to the forest. I mean, and they are with the one of the in front of the one of the big elephant. So one blind man, he touched the elephant's tail. So then he said that, oh, this is the snake. And another blind man touched the elephant's head. He recommended another thing. Maybe he said it. Maybe it seems like a foot. I mean, tree. Or someone touched the elephant's leg. He said, no, this is like a bear. So it's a people's perception. But exactly, we need to be learned that. I mean, we need to know what are we perceiving. What are we? How can we recognize the thing? Recognize the fact as it is. That is the wise reflection. That is the wisdom. So this is a great another way we can say that perception rises up and levels of feeling, and with it arises the sense of one who feel. So you cannot be differentiate, you cannot be isolate between perception and feeling. So all the feeling and perception are somehow like a in I mean together. So if I have a good mood, I always be see overlook the things like wow, this is beautiful, that is wonderful. So sometimes in English, the English proverbs, it maybe say that beauty is the eyes of beholder. So it depends, you know, who is who is analyzing and who is recognizing. It depends how he is overlooked the fact. So if he has a sad mood or angry mood, maybe he just say that, oh, okay, I see the beautiful flower. I said, okay, it's just a it's just a plant. And but if someone have a good mood, maybe it's a wow, it's a vibrant flowers, vibrant rose. So it's the thing like perception. You can be, it rise up and levels of our feeling, and with it rises, it is the sense of who one who feels and what is its moods, you know. And in therefore that very common saying, it says, don't believe your mood, because sometimes it is not honest. Mood are changing moment to moment, time to time. It is impermanence. So our feelings is impermanence. In our last class also we discussed that how can we like our feeling, like our happy mood is lasting for few moments. It's not forever. Even our sad mood is not for forever. So feeling is impermanence. Happiness is impermanence. Unhappiness is impermanence. So as we can see that is the truth of impermanence, the truth of suffering. So everything of every single of the moment we can be categorized. It is the actually the part of the samsaric journey, the entire samsaric journey. It is the suffering, because nothing is permanent. Impermanence is suffering. Our feeling itself impermanence. So perception our is based on our feeling, and you can leveling of our feelings. Another way, it is very popular, very common saying. I mean, in the early Buddhist discourse, is called Madhu Pindika Sutra, with the discourse of Hannibal. So in this discourse, Venerable Mahakassapa uh, and the Buddha, one of the Buddha's disciple, he discussed about the in the presence of the Buddha, discuss about the perception and papañca. It says from contact leads to feeling. Our contact leads to feeling, and from feeling, perception. From perception, our thinking, we categorize our thought process, and thinking leads to our perception and the categorization of prapancha. So when you take the contact, as you remember, according to the early Buddhist discourse and also that the law of dependent origination we discuss, contact, it is the manifestation of three things together, such as like we have a six sense doors, like eye, nose, tongue. I mean, these are all the body, hear or hearing, and touch, mind and feeling. So eye and seeing is create eye consciousness. Eye, seeing, eye consciousness. The three things create contact, eye contact, ear contact. Ear, we have a ear, sense organs, and sound, hearing. Then ear and hearing is create ear consciousness. Sometimes uh, we can say that we like a good music. It's really good, has good feeling. So we hear the music by our ear, and we start to judgment. It's a good music, or it is bad music, or it is fast music, or rap music, or it is something judge music, or we like blues. So we like sound. So our judgment, it's all it's all categorized by our perception and feeling. And of course it's the manifestation, it creates a lot of proliferation and a lot of judgment. And so then we how to say, like here is the contact, Like contact, as we discussed, that there are 6 sense contact. So I just give you one example from the this same discourses. Eye and forms. Eye consciousness equates to contact. In the same way, ear and forms. Ear and sound equate ear consciousness. Nose and smell. Nose consciousness. Tongue and our taste. So it's all our from the it comes to the sorry it comes to the systematic way, like contact, feeling, perception, thinking, and is a categorization of our papancha or mental proliferation. And we can see another way is from the again the same sutra, from the discourse of Hannibal Sutra. It says, it was translated by Tanishwara Bhikkhu, starting with feeling, the notion of an agent. In this case, the feeler acting on object is introduced. What one feels, one perceives. What one perceives, one think about. What one thinks about, one proliferates, papanchizes, or like a proliferations, mental fabrications. So we can see what one feels, one perceives. What one perceives, one think about. It's just like it's a big hack, like a 6 and 9. It is. It's a very funny way. Like, how can we recognize it is whether it is 6 or 9? Which one is right? Maybe 6 is truth. Those who can overlook as a 6. Maybe 9 is truth for someone from the other gentleman. So both people are right between the 6 and 9. But yeah, that's the thing. What one feels, one perceives. What one perceives, one think about. What one thinks about, one glorifies. It start to judgment. It start to give us some mental fabrication. So moreover, through the process of perception, through the process of prapancha, the agent, the seer, then becomes a victim of his or her own patterns of thinking based on one what one what a person proliferates or prapanchizes, the perception and categories of papancha attack to him or her with regards to his past, present, and future forms of cognizable via the eye. So, like this example, excuse me, like my eyes is closed, but I take this my pen. Immediately, I can recognize that this is my pen. So this pen, even my eyes is closed, but I recognize this is my pen because of my past experience. So my past experience is still in my mind, still in my perception, that yeah, it's look like it's the top part, it's the bottom part of this pen. So this is my pen. Even if my eyes is closed, I touch it, I hold it, and I bring it up, I lift up, and I notice that it is my pen. So our past memory, our past sense, still there. It projects our perception. So even intentionally or unintentionally, I immediately can recognize when my eyes was closed. I said, "This is my pen." So again, based on what a people papanchizes, the perception and categories of papancha assail him or her with regards to his past, present, and future forms cognizable through his eye. Just it's like similar to eye, ear, nose, taste. So our past, our previous action, still there, still into our perception. Because of that feeling, that experienced, because of our previous perception, previous experience, it it act it was it developed our idea. That is papan, that is our perception, and through the perception, the process of prapancha started to manifesting. So now we discussed so far about the papancha, and now we back what is nippapancha. So I think nippapancha, it is another big topic, but in general, nippapancha we can categorize that, we can denote as the ending of papancha, the ending of papancha. So how do you end the papancha? It's quite interesting. We're still there. We're still on this. We're still on the our perception, our our judgment, our proliferation still going on. But how do we can end up our papancha? So that is skill. In the past, we say papancha is unskillful habit. But nippapancha, that is skillful thought, that is well organized, well mannered in thought process. Maybe another term we can say it is the nippapancha means awareness of awareness. So from the early Buddhist scripture, we can denote nippapancha is the cessation of proliferating tendency. So it's a normal behavior of the mind. It have a natural tendency of our mind is to proliferate, is to recognize, is to categorization, and going with the judgment whether he is a good man or bad man. I love this, I like this, dislike, you know, or a lot of judgment in our daily life. So, I mean, of course, it's a judgment is good, but we need to know what should judge and what should not judge. With judgment and more judgment, it creates a lot of stress and suffering. So somehow that's why I can say that nippapancha in the sense of awareness of awareness. So nippapancha is the cessation of proliferating tendency. Or nippapancha we also can explain like how do we can observe the things, observe the reality as it is or as they are. Understanding the reality as it is. So here we can see some acceptance to overlook the realities. For example, like suddenly storm came. So maybe our lighting system, electricity shut down. So I need to accept the reality because due to the storm, due to the lightning, electricity need to shut down. for protecting ourselves. That is a reality. Of course, this is the mm, we need to accept, we need to observe the reality. We need to accept this reality. That is the Nippapancha. And also, from the Buddhist aspect, accepting suffering as the suffering. That is the wise thought, or we can say wise reflection. Most of the time, like we don't want to accept the reality of the death. So since we born, we have a old age, we have a grow up, we have a old age, aging, and death. So it is a natural process, natural phenomena of our life. So this is the reality. Accepting the reality as the reality. But of course, we have to reflect the reality wisely. It's a common saying in Buddhism and early Buddhist scripture. Yoniso manasikaro plumbs the depths of awareness. Plumbs the depths of awareness or wisely reflection. How to reflect this reality intellectually, clearly, and wisely. So we know since we were born, we need to do work. For work, we have to prepare ourselves. We need to go to school, have educations, go for our natural process. And after a few years, someone maybe live for 80 years, someone for 90 years, but approaching to the old age, and one day we need to accept the death. So somehow our time is limited. So it is a wise reflection. So we need to use our time in a manner of systematic way. That is the skillful thought. We need to use our time. We need to use our relationship in a skillful way. We have to be. We have to do something. Like most of the time, like altruistic part, helping others. Of course, first you need to establish yourself. Then you start to help others. Something do good. But it's a very, very, very wise thought, and it's positive reflection. So anyway, observing the reality as it is, that is the one way like we can explain. We can stop our papancha. Sometime and also another one is a very common way. Nippapancha also, you can be notice the gap between the thoughts. So like our thought process, we have no limit our thought. We can say limitless thought, that is papancha. So one moment to another moment, another moment to another moment. So we have a thought process, moment to moment, moment to moment, and moment to moment. So it's have a limitless way, but we need to carefully take a step from one thought to another thought and understanding between the gap. So we can see it's how the skillful thought process initiated. So Nippapancha is a skillful thought process. So and that can be help us to know each of our each level of our thought, and to recognize the gap between each one thought to and another thought. So Nippapancha, to understand, to recognize the gap between thoughts, a thought process. So another one, and it's the same one, like it's a no thought. Actually, it's impossible to stay with the no thought, without thought, like empty. Empty for what? is quite impossible. But of course, again, back to the wise reflection, with the observing the reality, you know. So thought should be the skillful thought. So no thought of unskillful thinking. So no thought of unskillful thought. That is nippapanca. No need to be, so ones need to know how to well organized, how to skillful with the thought process. So every time, like it is a skill. Like we can sometimes when you are doing some academic paper. So sometimes we see the some of the academic paper like it doesn't make sense. So we say, oh, it's unskillful. So so it have some discipline. So he did not follow the discipline of writing. Therefore, you can say it is unskillful. It's not make sense. But since you once follow the discipline of writing, we say well, we appreciate that. So nippapanca, it is it's a practice of nippapanca. It's helping to avoid all unskillful thought. It brings us awareness, and it is the awareness of awareness. It leads to enough heedfulness as well. So therefore, it's a sorry. Buddha said, like let me read the Pali. It's very easier for me to then back to the English. Akase padama natti, samano natti bahire, papancha bahirata paja nippapanca tathagata. That means there are no footprints in the sky. You won't find the stage out there. The world delights in conceptual proliferation, whereas Buddha delights in the ending of that. So it's very normal. People are, people are manipulated from thought process by someone thought process as well. So its impact. But whereas the Buddhas, that means the enlightened one, the awakened one, he is unshakable. He did not he did not have a foolish judgment. Like if someone if like for example, Buddha was very skillful. He mentioned in the Kalama Sutra, said, "Don't believe my word. You need to understand. You need to judge by yourself through using your wise reflection. You don't believe blindly. You don't follow anything blindly. You have to see the things, see the fact, see the reality that it is the truth for you. Find out your own truth. Find out your own way that help you to bring your own path." So the Buddha, the awakening mind, or Buddha means awakening or awakening mind. So those people who has awakening mind, he is not blindly believe the fact. He have a proper judgment. He knows where he needs to be stopped, what is right and what is wrong. That is a morality. The moral practice bring us to judge what is right and what is wrong. And to judging the right and wrong, that is wisdom. So you see, wisdom is purified by morality. On the other way, morality is purified by the wisdom. In the Kuddaka Nikaya, there's one verse Buddha speak that wisdom is purified by morality, and morality is purified by wisdom. So, since he's wise, his awakening mind, his delights without non-conception, without proliferation. So that is Nippapanca. So maybe we can say Nippapanca is the freedom of samsara. Maybe Nippapanca it's the is another term for nirvana. So last class we discussed a little bit about nirvana. It's a mental state. So our Nippapancha, it is the thought, well, skillful thought process, skillful thought manner, and it leads us how to end the samsaric. Samsara, it's about cycle in this, in this bubble, like birth and death, returning to again and again, have judgment, thinking, a lot of, categorization. Somehow, nirvana, it is a realization, it's a mental state. It help us. It stop all the proliferating thought process, or you can say mental fabrications. So the next one, sorry. So nirvana, we also again we discussed nirvana is a Buddhist term. Um, it's represented for highest goal for practitioners. So that's why Buddha said nirvana is the ultimate place. According to we're referring to Dhammapada, it's a nirvanam paramam sukham. Nirvana is the highest place of happiness. But anyway, nirvana, it's Pali, sorry, it is Sanskrit, nirvana, and Pali said nibbana or nippan. So nibbana, it means, the literal meaning, according to the Pali to English dictionary by Yanamoli, he said blowing out or quenching, or nirvana is the ultimate spiritual goal in Buddhism and marks the soteriological release from rebirth in samsara. So the aim of, as we discussed in our last few classes before, Four Noble Truths, we discussed that the Buddha, throughout his teaching, he taught two things. He said, I taught how to identify the origination of suffering, and I show you the path, the cessation of suffering. So rebirth process, life in the samsara, in the bubble of samsara, is the suffering, is recognized as dukkha. So nirvana is the beyond the dukkha, the soteriological release from rebirths in the samsaric existence. Then nirvana, as we discussed, is the part of the third noble truth of cessation of dukkha in the Four Noble Truths. So again, we discussed that nirvana is a bliss. It's a bliss of freedom, and it's liberation. It's to break the chains of all the links of samsara. It's no return into the samsara. Since there is no birth, there will be no death. So another very common term, it is in Buddhism and early Buddhist scripture, Buddha always defined that nirvana is the extinguish of a fire, of a lamp of fire. So when someone asks the Buddha that how the nirvana it would be, it is the space What is the realm? Buddha said, well, nirvana is neither state, neither realm or neither state. I mean, neither physical state or form. It is like a, it is beyond, it is extinguished. Like when I have a candle, I blew the candle and the flame disappeared. It's such as like the extinguishing of a fire. So let me read the, how the Buddha said in the Nibbana Sutta from the early Buddhist scripture. Buddha said, when teachings, when he was teaching his own disciples, the Buddha used nirvana more as an image of freedom. Apparently, all Indians at that time saw burning fire as agitated, dependent, and trapped, both clinging and being stuck to its fuel as it burned. To ignite a fire, one had to sage it. When fire let go of its fuel, it was freed, released from its agitation, dependence, and entrapment, calm and confined. This is why Pali poetry repeatedly uses the image of extinguished fire as a metaphor for freedom. So another way, like back to the papancha, like fire. Papancha is such as like a fire. No matter fire, how small it is or how big it is, the nature of fire is to burn. So a few months ago, when in the West Coast, a few states are suffering with the fireworks. I mean the wildfire. So no matter how small fire it is, it have a potential to burn everything. In the same way, our thought process, how small, maybe tiny things, if we start to overthink that point, our prapancha, it proliferates, it fabricates throughout the mind. It covers the mind and it brings the mind into sometimes sadness, sorrow, sometimes opposite, maybe happiness. So it's extinction of the of our thought, our thought process, extinction of the fire as well. So we can see that nirvana or nippapanca, it represents that it provides the mental state, bring you one of the mental state where there is no fire, there is no papancha. That's why Buddha said nippapanca tathagata. It's not such like a mental proliferation or proliferating thought process when one attain in the state of nirvana or freedom. Another way, sorry, nirvana also, according to early Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha said it is the extinction of asava or asrava. Asava, it is very many ways, many terms. This term asava, Buddha discussed and Buddha showed in the early Buddhist scriptures. We translate as canker or defilements or taints. Sometimes we say mental fermentations. Mostly we can also say that defilement as well. And Yanamoli, this very prominent dictionary, Pali to English dictionary, he also mentioned influx. And asaba also we can define as karmic propensities, and it is mental defilement that perpetuate samsara, the beginningless cycle of rebirth, dukkha, and dying again. So I'm moving a bit faster. That about sorry, I need to. So in a word, nirvana is the extinction of defilement. That's why Buddhas also speak the term asabakaya. Kaya means declining, declination. So for nirvana is the complete relinquishment or extinction of canker or defilements or all karmic propensities. And Buddha said that how do you can be understand nirvana and how we can be defined is in the state of nirvana. Buddha said there is that dimension where there is neither earth nor water nor fire nor wind, neither dimension of the infinitude of space nor dimension of the infinitude of consciousness, nor dimension of nothingness, nor dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. You see, in this term papancha, there is neither papancha nor nippapanca, neither this world nor the next world, nor sun nor moon. And there, I say, there is neither coming nor going. That means no birth, no death, no stasis, neither passing away, nor arising, without stains, without foundation, without support. This justice, the end of dukkha, or suffering. It was Buddha mentioned in the Udana. Udana is the one of the wonderful texts from Sukuddaka Nikaya, and most of the verses of Udana, it was uh, it was the earlier stage, the first 7 weeks after the Buddha was enlightenment. So, you know, so Udana was a collection of the Buddha's first 7 weeks. So anyway, so nirvana, we can say, there is no perception nor non-perception, no papancha. So another thing, like last time also, last class we discussed, nirvana, whether it is the mental state, but it's the mental state, it is a realization, and it is neither a realm nor a space nor dimension of the infinitude of consciousness, nor dimension of nothingness. So nirvana is ultimate bliss of happiness. That means there is no birth, there is no death. It is beyond samsara. And nirvana, we can say, is unbinding. It is cessation of mental proliferation or weaving the mind. It's have a balanced, in a modern language, we use it's a balanced mind, maybe a skillful thought process. You know, so therefore, I mean, it was a highly, highly appreciated by the Buddha, like nirvana is the highest bliss of happiness, and nirvana is nippapanca. So Buddha said in the Dhammapada, papancha bikirata paja nippapancha tathagata. So there is people are, normally people are delight in proliferation, but the Tathagata, the Buddha, in non-proliferation. So, no matter how fire attack, how the mind is moves, is stuck by thought process, but the state of nippapancha is unshakable. There is stillness flows upon them. They are they are stable, they are balanced, they have a skillful thought process. There is no existence of papancha. That is the nirvana. So I'm welcoming any question. It will be wonderful that if you have any. Okay, we can go with the discussions. So please unmute yourself. Then we can ask. Then we can go to with some discussions. Yes, please, Alex.
You mentioned, Sanjoy, earlier in the lecture, the importance of beginning to notice a gap between thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you spoke of sort of another dimension of where it seems that in our practice, if we can bring awareness to the sort of deeper levels of our experience and become aware of maybe thoughts and experiences that we're not consciously aware of, that that must be very important in slowing down the sort of proliferation of thoughts. That it's not just simply at a superficial level, but in another dimension, or in a sense, perhaps a different level. The proliferation of thoughts that we might experience may continue to arise until we can bring awareness to those other dimensions of our experience. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Therefore, that you are right. That's why he said that skillful thought process. Well, our mind is. Sometimes we say that monkey mind. It's jumping. It's like a swinging and always jumping. Like one. Mind is moving. It's like as we say that a monkey is always is like jumping one tree to another tree, one branch to another branch. So our mind, our thought process is moving and jumping from one thought to another thought. There's so many ideas, plays and dancing into our mind. So, well, we have to be stay with that stillness, and it's important. Like in our daily life, there's so many things going on. It does. Sometimes most of the time when we are working, we have a very full day. Then we're working and someone is talking. Then we do the same thing at the same time, and we may be typing something on writing emails, or at the same time I speaking with someone else. So a lot of things, maybe writing there's some different topic, and talking is another topic. So it's not a healthy. So we say changing. It's very fast, but there's a gap. There's a gap between these two process, two thought. But yes, the awareness or mindfulness, it leads the mind to identify this gap, and before the move to and jump to another thought, it can be identified whether I'm going to the right way or wrong way, what is saying. But most of the time we forget it, you know most of the time we have a mistake. It's true, it's normal behavior, but this path and Buddhist way of practice or sati or mindfulness, it can be help to bring the mind in a skillful manner. And most of the time it's true, our prapancha is a key factor. And because of the mental proliferation, we like to think a lot. We have many ideas and our perception as well. Most of the time our perception based on our desire and also some of our past experience, and also it leads to our uh, pain sometimes, yeah, mixed our desire and grasping as we talk, and also ignorance. It was involving, so we don't recognize not knowing the gap, the fact, the reality. Because of not knowing the reality, our mind is always, is always playing, it's always wandering, it's roaming here to there, this place to that place, and go be some, it's like a no limit. It's a limitless thought. There's no such a uh, uh, how to say, no such a concrete boundary that our mind is it is it likes to play, likes to talk, likes to stay with some ideas. There's so many ideas in this mind, and it's important have to bring this thought in skillful way, skillful manner, and need to do what need to do, and need to understand the reality, whether I can do it or not, and also knowing yourself, to knowing the reality that I have capable or not. But of course, we have to improve our capability of our energy level by enthusiasm, by by consistent disciplinary thought, and also increase our motivation. I mean, good mood, have a good feeling, positive perception, positive thought. Uh,
The,
yes,
in the metaphor of the
fire.
fire, which becomes extinguished, or the fuel which supplies the fire exhausted, would that be the ignorance, and aversion and these in mind? What is the fuel which supplies the uh, fire which is extinguished in
Yeah,
the body? What is?
yeah. This. Thank you very much. Actually, this is a very insightful question. Well, fire. I mean, here we discuss. Yeah, it is a metaphoric way, right? But our thought process, like a fire, some like as we like fire, no matter how it is just an example, no matter how small it is, it have a potentiality to burn the whole city. Even small fire, if burning the one small things, it can one small place to the another go, wider and wider. It have potentiality. So our thought process I mean, every single thought process start from simple thought, then some small thought. Maybe when you go in depth, go deeper into deeper, it's, it expanded. So, but of course that it doesn't mean that we need to stay there without any thought. We don't have to stay there without idea. We build up, we mature, we build up our idea based on the, altruistic manner, based on some good, like wholesome action. So even the evil people, some evil wrongdoing in this world is sometimes going on in a war, a conflict. They also have a thought process. The people who are, who creating the such like a bomb, they're also brilliant people. They have their own perception and own prapancha. So their own mental proliferation, their own idea, those perception brought back into some terrorism. And they have some desire as well. And the desire, they covered their mind by ignorance. So their level of their ignorance is negative way. And it brought back, being them to, for distraction. But whereas the practitioners, a seeker, he back to the skillful thought process and is in a skillful manner without, and also like the fire, the desire like a fire. So in early Buddhist text, it mentioned like a three poisons sometime: greed, hatred, and delusions. These three things are considered as three poisons. So desire or greed is like a fire. Hatred, it also like a fire. Delusion, like defilements, is like a fire. So these three things, you know, uh, even small, if we don't know how to cope with, how to control it, how to tame it can create a more problem. So need to be stopped, need to nippapanca. No conceptual proliferation within these things, and stop all the. I mean, I'm speaking just in conventional way. Stop all the cankers and all these defilements, uh, hatred and delusion. By this way, one can bring back into the mood of nippapanca, in the mental state of nippapanca, or nirvana, or freedom.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So is there anything? This will be wonderful. Then we still have it some time.
Thank you very much for explaining Papañca. That was very enlightening. The one question that I have concerns Nippapanca. I've heard of the concept of non-abidance.
Non-abiding. Yep.
Mostly promoted by the Chan and Zen schools. I'm wondering if it's a state that is similar to Nippapanca by any chance.
Yeah, I think yeah, it is same like Nippapanca. I think it is Nippapanca somehow. Because Zen tradition or Chan tradition, it was later on edition. It's the Zen came from Chan, and from Chinese Chan, and Japan is go to Zen. So anyway, in early Buddhist, we back to again the historical context, the early Buddhist literature. So these are it has compiled from the earlier state of the Buddha's time to until the third Buddhist council. So anyway, Zen came a little bit later on too. But of course, this concept non-abiding, it is nippapanca somehow. Uh, Maybe no attachment, non-abiding. There's no attachment. There's no grasping. There's no clinging. and also that you know is very out of the all the desire, all the three poisons, no no hatred, no greed, and no delusions. So it is nippapanca. It is stopping the proliferations, stopping the mental conceptual proliferation. That is like you are out of any desire, you are out of any kind of attachment. It can bring you some ease and no judgment. You have a stated neutral sense. But no judgment doesn't mean that you don't judge what is good or what is bad. That is wisdom. That is the for positive aspect. So yeah, I think so.
All right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So then, is there any more anything that we still have? If it's please feel free to ask. So okay, so I understand that all of you understand this concept about in between the papancha and nippapanca. So the Buddha said that this idea, like again, nippapancha tathagatam. So whereas the whole world is abiding with the, is staying with the conceptual proliferation, the Buddha or the Buddhas, that means Buddha means the awakening, the enlightened one. Awakening one, I think it's better the word used, the awakening one, who has awareness of awareness. So they are freed from conceptual proliferation. They're freed from greed, hatred, and delusions. So, and also that another term we can say that but it came very later on, the emptiness, be empty of greed, empty of hatred, empty of delusions. So that is also the bring back to our, it's a metaphoric terms as well. Same like a fire. Empty also a metaphoric term as well. So it's like it brings us to understand, to keep the mind, to live in skillful and in happy way, like for avoiding all the conflict, all disputes, all the war, and make the world, our life beautiful, positive way, and simple way. Simplicity is the best somehow, but it's very difficult to stay in the simple. But it's the thing like simple life that means it's free from many desires. No, it make the environment is quite comfort zone. So by this way we can be this teaching, the papancha and nippapancha, to help us to understand, for not proliferate the mind and keep the mind with awareness of greed. There will be no greed, no try to reduce the hatred, and also the reduce defilements. So I hope that all of you are, please feel free that to ask anything if you need to have any question, and also please feel free to write me if So thank you very much for all of your kind attention, and I hope to see you all next week. And next week is the last week, actually. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. Bye.